revogar o ato que ampliou a fiscalização da Receita Federal sobre movimentações financeiras, o que incluía o PIX, lembra? Com a decisão, a fiscalização volta a ser como era antes, ou seja, o valor das movimentações financeiras a partir do qual os bancos têm que reportar a receita volta a ser R$2.000 por mês para a pessoa física. Esse recuo do governo vem depois de uma onda de fake news que gerou muita desinformação sobre essa nova forma de notificação dos bancos com a receita. Tinha gente inventando até que o PIX seria taxado, que é mentira. O governo afirmou que foi necessário esse recuo para justamente evitar distorções e que vai editar uma medida provisória para deixar claro que não haverá cobrança de imposto sobre o PIX e para equiparar o PIX a dinheiro vivo como transação financeira, ou seja, sem nenhuma taxação. Você vai ter, claro, todos os detalhes no Jornal Nacional, começa às 8h30, hora de Brasília. Até já!
Ai, peraí, tá ligado?
A few nights ago on stream, I watched a little bit of a video called I Got Divorced Over Yu-Gi-Oh! And I went into it, you know, like lollipop and spinny hat, thinking it was going to be like good, silly fun. Like I thought it was like an exaggeratory title where he was telling a story about how his wife walked in like Seto Kaiba and ripped his blue eyes, and then he said, "Enough is enough. We'll play a shadow game to decide the fate of our marriage," and then they divorced or something. But the reality is, it's a very honest and open look at an unhealthy relationship, and it's one that I went back and finished the video for and have been thinking about since. So in a nutshell, this guy had a YouTube channel that was dedicated to Yu-Gi-Oh! And he was actually paying his bills through the content he was making. So it's not like this was a hobby that was destructive to him. You know, he wasn't going out on the streets and selling his butt for Yu-Gi-Oh! Briefcases of cards. Like, he was making a living through Yu-Gi-Oh! And his YouTube channel, but his wife didn't really like it. She didn't have any respect for it, and it basically boiled down to he married like his number one hater. And she eventually wore him down enough to the point where he did abandon the hobby and his YouTube channel because she just thought it was kind of cringe, I guess. Like, I'm not saying in every healthy relationship your partner has to, you know, get into whatever hobby you're into, but at the very least, the bare minimum is being understanding and supportive of it. Like, I'm not saying she had to go out there and get a tier 0 deck or learn how to pendulum summon so she could start banishing assholes to the Shadow Realm, but maybe don't be constantly spitting and shitting on your husband for something that he's clearly passionate about and something that is actively making him money. I got divorced over Yu-Gi-Oh!
I need to say this. Let me just say it straight out the way. I am no longer married, and I'm divorced.
More time for Yu-Gi-Oh! You can grind. YCS pretty soon, I think. Can't remember when the next YCS is. But you got so much time now.
When I met this woman, and I told her about my Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, she hated it. She didn't like it. She said that, hey, you can do something better with your life. You should go back to school.
All right, I hate that. Man, just let someone have hobbies. Like, who cares? Not hurting anyone. Not hurting you. It's nerdy. Sure. Who cares? It's a hobby. I bet she had stupid hobbies too. Everyone does.
I said, you know what? Maybe she's right. And you know what I did? I sold all my equipment. I sold my YouTube channel.
Whoa.
Sold all my camera stuff. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it is time to move on. Maybe it's time for me to do something better with my life. Not knowing that at that time, what I had was very special. At that time, something that I chose to do, YouTube, I gave it up because someone said, hey, you know what? Maybe it is time to move on. You got to do something better with your life.
There are times where someone's hobby is detrimental to them, whether it's financially draining or mentally draining. Like, that is a problem, and that's where you'd come in and say, like, hey, maybe it's time we look for something else, try a different path, and move on to something else. But that's not the case here. This guy had a channel, and his YouTube and Yu-Gi-Oh! Hobby were helping sustain him and pay bills. So her coming in there, fee-fi-fo, fumming around, marching up to him, saying, like, you gotta move on, makes no fucking sense. Like, that's so stupid. Just basically saying it's time to grow up. You know, this is a children's card game. We don't do this as adults. It's time you be a real man, a real adult, and start doing crypto scams. Like, it's just silly.
And she's no longer here. And this problem persists. She told me at that time, hey, you want to meet my mother? You need a car. Because I didn't have a car at the time. I was doing YouTube. I was working from home. I didn't need to drive anywhere.
Chasing the dream.
YouTube is what I did for a living. How I paid my bills. And I was street performing also. How did I street perform? I just catch the bus 20 minutes down the street, played my horn, went home. I never needed a car. Even though I explained to her, this is what I chose to do.
Why did she even come into your life then? It sounds like she didn't respect your hobby. She didn't respect your drive, your passion, or anything. Why the fuck was she even here? Just to completely change you? That's sad. And there's definitely a limit too. Like, if you're obsessed with a hobby and it's actually a detriment on your life, which it doesn't sound like it was for him, then I can understand someone coming in and be like, all right, look, maybe we need to reevaluate this. You know, maybe, you know, collecting fucking, I don't know, jelly beans and putting all your money into antique jelly beans is, you know, taking its toll. Maybe we should look at other things so you can get out of the house. You can start, you know, finding something else. I get it. But it doesn't sound like it was to that point here. This is just sad. I imagine the channel was generating income. He just said he was paying his bills through YouTube and street performing. So he was making money. He was perfectly sustaining himself. At least that's the impression I get. She was probably embarrassed to tell her friends what he does for a living. Well, then don't be with him. If you're embarrassed of your significant other, why are you with them in the first place? That's on you. If you don't respect them, don't be with them. It's bad for both you and the partner. I feel like this probably happens a lot, although I've only seen it happen to one of my friends once, where he got with a girl that just really didn't like anything about him. Well, you know, like, what are you doing there? Why are you choosing to be with this person if the goal is to change everything about them, to turn them into a blank canvas for you to paint on? That this doesn't make sense. Find someone that's more compatible with the things you like at that point. Like in this case, she comes in and she just doesn't like any of it. You're going to flush Yu-Gi-Oh! Down the shitter. You're gonna go back to school. Honestly, it sounds like a mom. That's
pouquinho melhor, né? Ai, ai, tem alguém aí já? Alô? Tá tarde hoje, eu sei, né, galera? Perdão.
Now, somehow, we're gonna find extra school for you to go to. It's just so fucking toxic. This guy was doing just fine. He was providing for himself through his passion, through his ambition, his hobbies, but it didn't fit what she thought was acceptable. So she goes in there and tries to force him to do all of it, and unfortunately succeeds, where he does abandon his hobbies and his passion for her, for this relationship. And that just shouldn't have been a sacrifice that he was forced to make for the sake of the relationship. He didn't need to tribute summon his hobby in order to get his wife's appreciation for what she believes is an acceptable idea for an adult hobby. It was making money, it was paying his bills, and it's something he loved doing. Why change that? There's really no good argument I can think of for it. Sounds like she just hated Yu-Gi-Oh! She must have been more of a Digimon gal.
So, she hated those cards. She literally cried because of those cards. And people say, hey, priorities, man. It's your wife, or, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
You tell me your wife was crying about Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards.
But then I'll be back at that point where I'm giving up things that I like, things that's a part of my life, for someone else to feel happy.
Whoops.
And I feel miserable in the process. I love that. I miss that. Why can't she come along with my journey instead of scrutinizing me? And then that's money gone from me. It's not about the money, but that was money gone from me.
That was his career. Man, what a disaster. What a shame. Imagine your Yu-Gi-Oh! Passion being so epic it makes your wife cry. My husband has mastered the shadow games. Damn!
Ok, tá ligado? Isso é engraçado.
I want nothing more than my partner loving their job, man. I'd cry tears of joy. I imagine that's how it works in most healthy relationships, brother. I feel like it's kind of important to have, like,